Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're a serious property investor, you know the game has always been a blend of hard data, tireless research, and, let's be honest, a fair bit of gut instinct too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But today, we're charting a path where those instincts get supercharged by technology. This deep dive is all about leveraging artificial intelligence, specifically tools like ChatGPT to, well, revolutionize your property portfolio and maybe set a new benchmark for success.
And it's interesting because for decades there's been this gap in the literature, hasn't there? Loads of books on real estate, plenty on AI if you look, but almost nothing that properly merges the two.
Right, bringing them together in a practical way.
Exactly. To create a strategy investors can actually use. Our source material today, based on Dax Stanley's work, really dives into that specific omission.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Before we jump straight into the tech itself, we should probably look at our guide here, Dax Stanley. His background is, well, it's pretty fascinating. It explains why he's kind of the perfect person to bridge this gap between property and advanced tech.
Oh, absolutely. His foundation is incredibly strong, deeply technical. We're talking a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science, then a Bachelor of Engineering with honors in geomatics, and a Master of Business and Technology.
Wow, so he didn't just understand complex systems.
No, he was involved in building them at a really critical level, too.
And his corporate track record, it's not just standard management stuff either. It involves some really high-stakes, mission-critical operations.
Think about this. Working on counter-terrorist software for the SASR during the 2000 Sydney Olympics, that demands incredible precision, massive data processing, basically zero room for error.
Yeah, you can't afford mistakes there.
Not at all. And then he spent 3 years leading a team of over 150 staff installing the wholesale billing system for the NBN project. That's huge infrastructure management. Big scale.
Okay, so he's got this intense tech and systems background, but then he pivoted.
Right. 4 years ago, he took all that high-level technical expertise and made a pretty significant shift, left the corporate world completely.
Pivot went into
property. Full-time property wealth creation. He founded his own property strategy company and a buyer's agency, but with a very specific focus, tech integration from day one.
Ah, so he saw the connection.
He realized that the disciplined, data-driven approach needed for complex software systems was exactly what was often missing in traditional real estate investing. He saw how to apply it.
That sets up our mission perfectly for today, doesn't it? Our goal is simple, but potentially transformative for you listening. We want to give you the practical knowledge, maybe some specific prompt strategies, and really the confidence to leverage ChatGPT for deep market trend analysis, for more precise property value prediction, and just better investment opportunity identification overall.
We're talking about moving you towards financial freedom by working smarter, leveraging this tech, not just grinding harder the old way.
It's the convergence point. Using this new technology to get a serious competitive edge, making sure your success is built on solid evidence, not just hope or what you hear down the pub.
Exactly. Empirical evidence. That's the goal.
All right, so property investment. It's still one of the most reliable ways to build wealth over time, right?
Yeah, historically, absolutely.
But Stanley reminds us early on, the path isn't always smooth. It's complex, full of potential setbacks. He makes the point that before AI can be your solution, you really need to understand the traditional challenges first, the baseline problems.
Exactly. And he breaks it down into 4 key barriers. These are inherent obstacles that have always complicated things for investors, even savvy ones. Obstacles that AI is now kind of perfectly positioned to help dismantle.
Okay, let's take the first one. Maybe the most draining one for many people. The sheer manual research burden.
Oh, it's immense. It's just a massive time and energy sink. Think about what you used to have to do or still do manually. Scouring dozens of different government websites, industry reports, trying to compile market trends yourself, analyze historical sales, understand shifting demographics, cross-reference legal stuff, financial considerations.
Just listing it is exhausting.
Right. And when you rely purely on grabbing that data manually, not only is it agonizingly slow, but data often gets misinterpreted, or worse, crucial bits just get missed entirely.
And that leads to those less than optimal decisions, the ones that can cost you, hundreds of thousands down the line.
Precisely. Which brings us to the second barrier, which is purely psychological but can be financially devastating. Emotional pitfalls. This is where data fights against feelings.
The falling in love with a property problem.
It happens all the time. Investors develop these really intense emotional attachments to properties they view, or they get excessively enthusiastic about some amazing deal they read about somewhere.
Yeah, the FOMO kicks in. Fear of missing out.
Exactly. And that attachment, that enthusiasm, it just overrides logic. It results in impulsive decisions like overpaying simply because they love the kitchen renovation.
Or the garden.
Or failing to spot a deep-seated structural issue or a looming financial problem because they just feel like this deal is meant to be. Stanley's really clear on this. Relying solely on gut feelings is costly. It's almost an archaic approach now in this data-rich environment we're in.
So AI provides that kind of emotional firewall, a buffer.
That's a great way to put it. It enforces objectivity. Then there's the third barrier, which is more about collective psychology. The gossip and media hype that can really steer market.
The herd mentality.
That's exactly it. Investors are, inevitably influenced by prevailing social trends. Or those glossy magazine articles shouting about the next hot suburb.
We've all seen them.
And while those sources might offer a tiny grain of anecdotal insight, relying on them alone is just dangerous. This collective buzz drives prices sky high in specific popular areas, often completely detached from the actual underlying fundamentals.
Leading to bubbles.
Often culminating in massive market bubbles. If your decision is based purely on what your neighbor said or what the morning TV show is pushing, chances are you're already too late. Decisions must be filtered through objective data, cutting through all that noise.
Okay, the fourth barrier he identifies. This one speaks more to capacity and growth, right? The inherent lack of scalability.
Yeah. If you're doing all your due diligence, manually driving to endless inspections, trying to collate fiddly spreadsheets, calling brokers constantly, you just hit a ceiling. You hit a wall pretty fast.
There are only so many hours in the day.
Precisely. Traditional manual methods fundamentally constrain an investor's capacity to manage and profitably oversee multiple properties, or even just stay on top of numerous potential opportunities at the same time. If your big goal is financial freedom through growing a portfolio, manual analysis eventually becomes a serious bottleneck, an existential threat to your progress, really.
So we established this constraint, this bottleneck, and it really highlights the need for innovation, doesn't it? You mentioned Warren Buffett before. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing.
And if you're relying on that slow manual process, you inevitably have knowledge gaps. You don't know everything you could. Stanley argues AI is the innovation that closes that gap. It lets you know more, much faster.
Like Steve Jobs said about innovation.
Innovation tells you who the leader is and who the follower is. By integrating AI, Stanley suggests you're essentially transcending those old constraints of conventional investing. You're positioning yourself right at the forefront of the market, not lagging behind.
Moving from follower to leader, powered by data.
Okay, so we've laid out the challenges with the old way. Now let's flip the lens onto the machine itself. To use this tool effectively, you've got to understand not just what it does, but how it works, and really critically, its fundamental limitations.
Right. Understanding the nuts and bolts. So let's start basic. What exactly is AI in this investment context?
Well, at its core, AI is a branch of computer science. It's focused on developing systems that can do tasks that normally need human intelligence. Things like understanding language, spotting patterns, learning, making decisions.
Okay.
For property investing, its incredible power really lies in its ability to analyze huge amounts of data very quickly, very precisely, far beyond what any human could do in the same time frame, and with fewer errors.
And ChatGPT is the specific tool we're focusing on today, developed by OpenAI. It's trained to create text that sounds human, right? Based on absorbing massive amounts of online info.
That's the one. It uses a vast, varied data set scraped from the internet. But here's the absolute critical piece of information. The thing that dictates success or failure for property investors using it, the knowledge cutoff date.
This is crucial.
This is where it gets really interesting, and honestly, where a lot of investors can stumble if they're not careful. ChatGPT's core knowledge, its training data, cuts off in September 2021.
September 2021. That's quite a while ago now, especially in the property world.
It's huge. Everything it knows inherently, everything it bases its initial analysis or predictions on, is limited to the data available up until that specific point.
Okay, spell out the implications. What does relying only on pre-September 2021 data mean for an investment decision you're making today?
The implications are massive, potentially catastrophic, actually. Think about the global financial climate since September 2021. The AI, in its base form, wouldn't know about the rapid, sustained interest rate hikes we saw globally through 2022 and 2023.
Big changes.
Huge. It wouldn't know about the subsequent tightening of lending criteria that followed, major shifts in government housing policies that came in during 2022, or even just shifts in post-pandemic migration patterns that have profoundly affected certain regional markets, haven't they?
Absolutely. Cities emptying out, regions booming.
Exactly. So if you ask the basic free version of ChatGPT about current interest rates or what Sydney house prices are doing right now, its answer is fundamentally built on an outdated foundation. That makes it pretty much useless for accurate, real-time valuation or reliable financial forecasting on its own.
Stanley compares it to an expert who, stopped reading the news or going to conferences right after they graduated college.
That's a perfect analogy. Their foundational knowledge might be stellar, but they're critically unaware of everything significant that's happened since, game-changing events.
So for the serious investor listening, how do we get around that cutoff? How do we access the advanced power needed for current market analysis?
Okay, this is where you need to move beyond the free version. You need to look at the paid tiers, which unlock some crucial features, often labeled as beta. The first real game changer is custom instructions.
Custom instructions. Tell me more. How does that work?
This feature lets you permanently tune the AI. Think of it like adjusting the settings on a really sophisticated piece of equipment. You set it up once to match your specific needs.
And the power is in the specificity, I guess. Like setting up an experiment properly before you start running it.
Precisely. You define yourself to the AI. For instance, you might tell it, okay, act as if I am a 34-year-old middle manager. My focus is purely on passive cash flow property investment. I own a home in Bondi worth roughly $3.2 million, but there's a $2.1 million mortgage on it.
So you give it your context.
Exactly. Then, crucially, you instruct the AI how you want it to respond consistently. Something like, always respond as a data-driven property investment expert. Specialize in high-yield, low-risk strategies within the Australian market, and critically, only use externally verifiable data points to back up any claims you make.
That saves a lot of repetitive setup in every chat, right?
Yeah.
And keeps the output consistent.
It saves huge amounts of time and ensures consistency. But the real leap forward, the features that properly obliterate that September 2021 cutoff for current data, involve using APIs, application programming interfaces, and advanced data analysis.
Okay, let's break those down. APIs first. For listeners who are investors, not programmers, what is an API in simple terms? And how does it bridge that data gap from 2021 to today?
Okay, think of an API as like a really efficient, tireless digital waiter. You, the investor, are sitting at the table that's the ChatGPT interface. You can ask the waiter, the API, to go fetch the very latest menu that's the real-time data from the kitchen, which represents external current data sources like CoreLogic, RP data, government statistic bureaus, live market feeds.
So it's a messenger, basically.
It's the bridge. It allows the AI to pull in and integrate up-to-the-minute information like current neighborhood growth trends, live vacancy rates, maybe commercial property values directly into its analysis, completely bypassing its internal knowledge cutoff.
Meaning your analysis is always working with fresh, current information.
Exactly. It's crucial. And then there's ChatGPT 4 with advanced data analysis. This sounds like the feature where investors can really get hands-on with their own data.
That's right. This is often called the code interpreter function, though the name changes sometimes. It lets you upload your own raw data files.
Like spreadsheets. Exactly. Excel spreadsheets of your existing property portfolio, maybe CSV files of current suburb sales data you just downloaded from a property portal, or even demographic survey results you've obtained. You upload that raw data.
And the AI.
The AI then interprets it, cleans it up if necessary, and performs sophisticated analysis on key metrics. You define things like appreciation rates, rental yields, potential tax implications, and it's all tailored precisely to your specific investment strategy and the actual data you provided. It turns those messy mountains of raw numbers into crisp, actionable charts, tables, and insights.
Okay, that sounds powerful.
Okay.
The final piece of this puzzle then is mastering the rule of prompts. If custom instructions set the stage, the prompt dictates the quality of the performance, right?
Oh, absolutely. Garbage in, garbage out has never been truer than with AI. A vague, lazy prompt like, oh, where should I invest in Australia is just going to give you generic, low value, and probably outdated advice.
So you need to be specific.
You have to be specific and focused. Think about the difference. Instead of the lazy prompt, try something like, ChatGPT, considering historical property growth data up to September 2021 and utilizing the live CoreLogic API link provided for current quarterly immigration rates, please analyze the top 5 Australian capital cities that demonstrate the strongest statistical correlation between high net overseas migration and sustained growth in median house prices for established dwellings over the last 18 months.
That's a very different level of instruction.
It's a focused, data-driven prompt that provides customized, potentially invaluable insight you simply wouldn't get otherwise. The quality of your prompt directly determines the quality of the AI's output.
Okay, this is where we really connect the dots, isn't it? We outlined those 4 big challenges of traditional investing earlier. Stanley's work isn't just about saying, oh, AI helps. It's about showing the specific practical mechanisms for actually neutralizing each of those challenges.
Exactly. Let's turn those theoretical problems into concrete, actionable solutions, really focusing on those advanced data analysis and API functions we just talked about.
Okay, first up, overcoming that massive manual research burden and also taming misinformation. How exactly does AI process data so far beyond human capability?
Well, it really boils down to speed and scale. A human analyst might spend, say, a month painstakingly collating and trying to cross-reference maybe 10 different complex data sets, things like historical property growth figures, current mortgage application rates, demographic shifts from the census, local council building application approval.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare task.
It is. But the advanced data analysis tool, you can upload all those data sets simultaneously, you feed it the files, and then issue a complex prompt like, summarize the key correlative findings from this combined data set of historical growth rates and current building application trends. Specifically identify any statistical anomalies or outliers that might suggest a future oversupply risk in postcode 3000 within the next 24 months.
And the AI just crunches that.
It handles that monumental task in minutes, not weeks. It instantly achieves a depth and breadth of analysis that was, frankly, impossible manually, or at least impractically time-consuming.
Which directly helps bypass that media hype issue we discussed, the second barrier.
Definitely. Because the AI bases its analysis purely on the quantified data you feed it, it provides objective, completely emotionless insights. You can even use it to actively test media narratives.
How would you do that?
Well, for example, you could potentially feed it news sentiment data scraped from major outlets over, say, 2018 to 2021. Then you prompt the AI, compare this historical media sentiment data against the actual reported property price movements in the corresponding suburbs for the following 12-month period. Wow. Identify any significant discrepancies where strong media optimism or pessimism fail to correlate with market reality.
So you're using data to check the hype.
Exactly. It reveals patterns, trains you, the investor, to be skeptical of the noise and rely instead on objective trend modeling based on harder data points.
Okay, the third barrier was mitigating those emotional attachments. How does the machine step in to separate the investor from, say, that stunning harbor view that's clouding their judgment?
By enforcing cold, hard objectivity. The AI only deals in metrics. It doesn't care about the view or the lovely kitchen. Stanley's example prompt for a suburb analysis is basically an entire due diligence checklist condensed into one command.
Give us that example again.
You prompt something like, provide me with a comprehensive suburb analysis for insert specific suburb name, example, Newtown, Sydney. Cover historical median property prices for houses versus units, current rental yields and vacancy rates, recent demographic shifts according to the latest census data, reported crime rate trends over the past 5 years, details of any major local council infrastructure projects budgeted for the next 3 years, known environmental risk factors like flood zones or bushfire ratings, and the current regulatory landscape regarding zoning or development restrictions. Use only the supplied datasets, list the files you uploaded. Present this analysis in a structured, objective report format suitable for presentation to a potential joint venture partner.
Wow. That leaves no room for gut feel.
None at all. The resulting document is purely data-driven, completely ignoring any subjective emotional appeal the property might hold. It's just the facts.
And the fourth barrier, missing those hidden costs and achieving true scalability. How does AI help there?
It ensures really rigorous financial modeling that includes those costs that are so often forgotten until the bill arrives, right? It forces you to consider all the potential fixed and variable costs systematically.
Like that detailed prompt example you mentioned.
Exactly. Something like, provide a comprehensive breakdown presented in a clear table format of all potential annual expenses associated with owning a 3-bedroom rental property in insert specific location, e.g. Parramatta. Consider fixed costs like council rates, water rates, landlord insurance, body corporate fees if applicable, and land tax. Also, model variable costs, including a realistic maintenance reserve based on the property's age, projected vacancy rate costs based on current market data, and property management fees. Include a forecast for these expenses over the next 3 years, explicitly factoring in current economic forecasts for interest rate fluctuations and inflation.
That level of detailed foresight is what allows an investor to actually scale up confidently, isn't it?
Absolutely. You scale knowing every potential expense is accounted for, rather than getting nasty surprises when you're trying to juggle multiple properties and cash flows.
Okay, theory is one thing. Let's bring it to life with that anecdote you mentioned about Sarah, the investor who nearly got tripped up by emotion.
Great, Sarah. She was a serious investor, actively looking for her next property. She found this beautifully renovated house, great location, excellent school catchment area, looked perfect, totally pristine, ready to rent out immediately.
Sounds ideal.
It did. And multiple other buyers were circling, putting pressure on. Emotionally, she was basically ready to jump in, make a strong offer, but she paused. She decided to take the core data, the address, the property's sales history, estimated rental potential, even some local council records she pulled, and feed it into ChatGPT using the advanced analysis features.
And what did the AI flag?
Its warning was based on digging deep into that historical data. Specifically, it crunched the numbers and noted that between 2015 and 2021, the reported crime rate in that specific micro area had actually been steadily increasing, despite the general perception that the suburb was improving overall.
Wow, that's counterintuitive, something easily missed.
Totally missed in a quick look. It suggested a kind of underlying instability that could potentially depress future property values regardless of the nice renovation. That was the first red flag.
Was there more?
Yes. Crucially, she asked a follow-up prompt specifically about potential maintenance issues given the type of renovation. The AI analyzed the likely building materials and methods used based on local building codes from that era and the description, and it actually revealed potential hidden long-term maintenance costs associated with that specific style of quick-flip renovation things missed during her initial visual inspection.
So the data revealed risks hidden beneath the surface.
Exactly. So relying on that objective, data-driven analysis over her initial enthusiasm and the market pressure, Sarah decided to pass on that property. Months later, she found a different investment, maybe less glamorous initially, but with much stronger underlying fundamentals and fewer hidden risks. It's a perfect illustration of AI acting as that dispassionate, data-based safety mechanism for the investor.
Okay, so moving from the theoretical advantages and Sarah's specific case, Stanley then shares his own firm's real-world experience. Chapter 4 details how they integrated AI into their core business operations. And interestingly, he admits it wasn't, an immediate or easy switch.
That's right. He's quite candid about it. The first hurdle they faced was internal, overcoming skepticism and reservations from their own staff, plus the inevitable learning curve with new tech. People naturally resist tools they might perceive as a threat to their jobs or just overly complex to learn.
So how did they handle that initial resistance?
Interestingly, they used ChatGPT itself to help ease the transition. They literally prompted the AI with things like, in simple, non-technical layman's terms, please explain to a skeptical but experienced property agent how using you can actually help them reduce their administrative busywork, free up their time for clients, and ultimately improve client outcomes and their own commissions.
Using the tool to sell itself, basically.
Clever. Kind of, yeah. And once that initial psychological barrier was lowered and the team actually started adopting and using the tool effectively, Stanley reports the results were pretty staggering.
Like what?
Insights were accessed much faster. Decision-making became more consistently empirical, based on data rather than just experience or a gut feel. And overall team productivity apparently doubled, and in some specific analytical tasks, even tripled.
So it's not just for individual investors doing their own research. It's a powerful scaling tool for actual property businesses, too.
Absolutely. And he gives a key example. A defining moment involving a really crucial property development joint venture they were considering. They had significant capital ready to deploy, but needed absolute rock-solid validation of the location analysis, the market demand forecasts, the land subdivision logistics, and particularly the projected building costs in a volatile market.
High-stakes decision.
Very high stakes. So they used the advanced data analysis feature extensively. They fed the AI a combination of their own proprietary research and external data sources, including detailed supply pipeline forecasts for that specific corridor.
And what was the crucial prompts they used?
It was something along the lines of, examine the complete pros and cons analysis for proceeding with this specific property development project based solely on the supplied datasets. Factor in a realistic 10-year projection for supply, demand, and operational costs, highlighting key risk factors and potential mitigation strategies.
Okay, so what was the key insight the AI delivered? Something the human analysts might have missed on their own.
The AI identified some subtle but significant new trends emerging in local area employment patterns, largely resulting from the acceleration of remote work post-2021. This wasn't immediately obvious from just looking at raw population growth.
How did that impact the development decision?
It suggested a potentially quicker than expected shift in housing demand towards slightly larger, more suburban blocks that could comfortably accommodate dedicated home offices. This nuanced predictive insight, derived directly from analyzing long-term supply-demand forecasts against shifting work patterns, provided the extra layer of quantitative confidence the firm needed to proceed with what was a multi-million-dollar land acquisition.
So it proved AI could be a vital data-backed component in major strategic workflow decisions, not just basic research.
Exactly. It moved beyond just information gathering into genuine strategic analysis support. Then in Chapter 6, Stanley shifts focus back to individual investors, offering specific, repeatable success stories that really demonstrate the AI's versatility across different investor types and needs.
Okay, let's hear about some of those.
Well, take James, for instance. He was already a seasoned investor, quite experienced, but he wanted to identify emerging niches, get ahead of the curve. He used ChatGPT essentially as a high-powered research partner.
How? What did he do?
He fed it a large stack of complex documents, academic papers on urban planning, local council, long-term strategic plans, municipal development guidelines, all related to future development on the Gold Coast, stuff that would take weeks to read and synthesize manually.
And he prompted it to summarize.
Basically, yeah. To synthesize the key trends and future planning directions. And the AI synthesis, even though it was primarily using pre-September 2021 data for the bulk of the analysis, highlighted a specific growing need.
Which was?
An increasing underlying demand for sustainable developments and highly energy-efficient homes emerging in that region. This wasn't the main focus of most developers at the time.
So it gave him his strategic lead.
Exactly. By identifying this specific, underserved niche early, he could target his investments towards projects that met this criteria. It gave him an edge in predicting where property values were likely to surge next, effectively using historical data patterns to forecast emerging future demand. He got the jump on the competition.
Nice. Okay, who else?
Then there's Emily. She was a novice investor, just starting out, and she used AI primarily as a rigorous risk assessor. She was getting quite excited about what seemed like a very affordably priced apartment in a relatively new residential high-rise building right in downtown Sydney.
Looked like a bargain.
Seemed like it on the surface. But she was cautious. She fed the AI the available market data, the building's details, the specific location, recent sales trends in comparable buildings nearby.
And asked about the risks.
Yeah, she specifically asked about potential market hazards or downsides. The AI crunched the data and issued a pretty stark warning. It specifically noted a significant overstock of very similar residential high-rise apartments that had been built in that immediate micro-market during the construction boom of roughly 2018 to 2021.
Oversupply.
Classic oversupply risk, leading to saturated rental demand in the area, downward pressure on rents, and therefore depressed capital growth forecast for that specific type of property. Emily, thankfully, dodged what could have easily been a disastrous low-growth, potentially liquidity-challenged first investment.
Good save. Anyone else?
Yeah, Alex. He's a home renovator, buy, renovate, flip. He needed AI for something simpler but crucial. Valuation support. He needed a really precise negotiation starting point for a property he wanted to buy.
Didn't just rely on the agent's estimate?
Nope. He wanted objective data.
Right.
He downloaded an Excel spreadsheet, median property prices for the area, recent demographic shifts, and critically, the actual sales data for the last 50 comparable property sales in that specific neighborhood. He uploaded this raw data file directly into ChatGPT-4's advanced data analysis tool.
And asked for?
He asked for a statistically derived value prediction based only on that uploaded data, and also a suggested maximum purchase price considering his planned renovation budget and desired profit margin.
Giving him a solid baseline.
It provided him with a highly informed, objective, data-backed negotiation starting point. It ensured he didn't get caught up in the option hype and overpay, protecting his profit margin from the outset.
Very practical. One more.
Okay, last one, Olivia. She's an investor with a pretty substantial existing portfolio, 12 properties accumulated over 10 years, spread across 3 different cities. She used the AI almost like an outsourced portfolio reviewer, a consultant.
How does she manage that? That sounds complex.
She used a really clever, open-ended prompting technique. She started with something like, okay, I own 12 properties across Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. I have 10 years of data. Please ask me a series of specific, detailed questions about my portfolio data. Things like purchase price, current estimated value, rental income, expenses, loan details for each, and also about my overarching investment goals and current financial situation. Keep asking questions until you have enough information to provide a complete, holistic portfolio analysis. Then, deliver comprehensive recommendations for potential improvements, diversification, risk mitigation, and maybe refinancing opportunities.
Wow, so the AI interviewed her, essentially.
Exactly. The AI acted like a consultant, systematically interrogating her to gather all the necessary information. It then synthesized a decade's worth of complexity across multiple properties and markets.
They gave her
Actionable recommendations tailored to her specific situation. It allowed her to refine her entire strategy, identify underperforming assets, and spot opportunities, all without spending days or weeks trying to manually compile and analyze that massive amount of data herself.
Okay, the advantages are becoming really clear with concrete examples now. But as you said, this technology isn't magic. Before we go further into strategy, we really need to tackle some common misconceptions investors might have. Chapter 5 in Stanley's work hits these myths head on.
Yeah, it's important to be realistic. The first major myth Stanley flags is the idea that AI is going to be an outright replacement for human property investors or agents.
The robots are taking our jobs fear.
Kind of, but he argues that couldn't be further from the truth in this context. The reality is AI is an enhancement. It's a powerful tool. It automates the really tedious, repetitive, time-consuming tasks, like compiling those 10 years of property price data for Olivia, remember her? It frees up the human investor or agent to focus their valuable time and mental energy on the higher-order strategic things that require human skills, complex deal structuring, negotiation, building relationships, understanding nuanced local factors AI might miss. More rewarding stuff, frankly.
Okay, so it's a collaborator, not a competitor. What's the second big myth?
This one is perhaps even more dangerous if you believe it. The myth that AI is always right, that its output is infallible.
Which, as we've discussed with the data cutoff, clearly isn't true.
It's simply not true. AI lacks genuine human instinct, it lacks decades of lived experience, and it definitely lacks that critical, real-time, on-the-ground, local knowledge. You know, the stuff you pick up by walking the streets, talking to locals.
The nuances.
The nuances. So the information AI provides, especially predictive analysis, must always be validated, cross-referenced against current market conditions, checked with trusted human experts, and subjected to good old-fashioned common sense and critical thinking. If you feed the AI bad or incomplete data, or if you blindly ignore that September 2021 cutoff for its base knowledge, the analysis it produces will be flawed, no matter how sophisticated or elegantly presented it looks.
That realization leads directly into something Stanley calls the rabbit hole methodology. This sounds intriguing. It's a technique for deep learning and verification.
Exactly. This methodology is designed to teach investors how to use the AI, not just as an answer machine, but as a tool to become their own hyper-specialized expert on a particular topic very quickly.
How does it work?
You start with maybe a general risk or a complex term that the AI initially identifies for you. Let's say it flags an unexpected legal jargon term in a contract, or maybe an unusual regulatory aspect related to zoning in a particular council area. Right. Instead of stopping there and just accepting it or immediately running off to pay a lawyer hundreds of dollars an hour to explain it, you use follow-up prompts to drill down, to peel back the layers of complexity yourself first. You go down the rabbit hole.
Can you walk us through a quick example of what that looks like in practice, how that conversation might flow?
Absolutely. Stanley gives an anecdote. An investor found an unfamiliar, slightly worrying legal term related to disclosure in a joint venture agreement they were reviewing. So they start with a basic prompt to ChatGPT. Define the legal term caveat emptor and explain its specific application and limitations within New South Wales property law.
Okay, get the basics.
Right. The AI provides a clear definition and context, but they don't stop there. The next prompt might be, okay, Now, find and summarize 3 key historical legal precedents or case studies in NSW where the principle of caveat emptor was successfully challenged or limited in a residential property transaction context.
Deeper dive.
Yeah.
Looking for exceptions.
Exactly. Then, based on those precedents, the next prompt could be, based on the potential weaknesses highlighted in those precedents, draft a specific list of 5 pointed questions I should ask my solicitor regarding the vendor's disclosure statement for this property, aiming to proactively mitigate my personal risk related to non-disclosure of defects.
Wow, so that process essentially gives you a focused, university-level legal briefing on that specific issue before you even speak to the lawyer.
Precisely. And Stanley points out that this proactive, deep-dive rabbit hole strategy resulted in significant cost savings for that investor. When they did finally consult their property lawyer, they weren't paying premium rates for the lawyer to explain basic legal principles or recount lengthy case histories.
They were paying for targeted advice.
They were paying only for highly specific, actionable counsel on their already well-understood situation, which meant significantly reduced legal consultation costs. The rabbit hole methodology empowers you to become a profoundly informed client, getting much better value from your professional advisors.
That makes a lot of sense. But we also need to look at the flip side, the dark side. Chapter 7 details some crucial lessons learned from investors who failed because they didn't respect the AI's limitations. Mistakes were made.
Yes, learning from failure is critical. First, there was Liam's outdated decision. Liam had some great initial success using AI, got a bit overconfident perhaps.
Selling to the AI is always right. Trap.
Exactly. He put all his trust in its analysis and completely ignored or maybe just didn't fully appreciate the explicit warnings about the September 2021 data cutoff. He based a major investment decision, made well after the pandemic shifts, solely on historical trends identified by the AI using that older data.
What happened?
He missed a critical, rapid shift in local employment demographics and industry structure that had occurred in that specific region during 2022. It wasn't in the AI's pre-2021 knowledge base. The market he invested heavily into promptly stagnated, didn't perform as the historical data suggested it would. A painful lesson about the danger of using unverified, outdated historical data without layering in current human-validated input.
Okay, lesson 1. Respect the cutoff date. What about Sienna? Her mistake sounds like a common one for new users.
Very common. Sienna jumped onto the free version of ChatGPT and asked it a very direct, real-time question. What is the current estimated market value of this specific 3-bedroom apartment on Campbell Parade in Bondi Beach?
A question the free AI can't answer accurately.
Right. And ChatGPT responded correctly, stating that it couldn't provide real-time specific property valuations due to its knowledge limitations and lack of access to live market data feeds. Sienna realized she was simply asking the wrong question of the tool.
So what was her takeaway? How did she adapt?
Her takeaway was brilliant, actually. She realized the AI wasn't a magic valuation engine, so she adapted her process. She gathered the current data points manually, looking up recent comparable sales, checking current median prices for that postcode, maybe getting a couple of quick agent appraisals. Then she took that fresh, manually collected data and used ChatGPT-4's advanced data analysis feature to interpret it objectively, asking it to identify trends and provide a likely valuation range based on her supplied current data.
So she created a perfect complementary system.
Yeah.
Human effort gets the current facts. AI provides the unbiased interpretation and analysis.
Exactly. It's the perfect synergy. Human gathers, AI analyzes. Lastly, there is Daniel. He was a very tech-savvy investor, maybe a bit too obsessed with automation. He fell prey to the AI can do everything management myth.
What did he try to do?
Daniel basically hoped the AI could function as a fully autonomous property manager for his portfolio. He wanted it to handle everything: tenant communications, scheduling repairs, maybe even rent collection.
Which it can't do.
No. ChatGPT responded clearly that while it could help draft communications or analyze maintenance costs, it couldn't act as a complete management system because it lacks real-time access to things like bank accounts, calendars, or the ability to actually dispatch a plumber. It can't interact with the physical world or perform transactions.
So what was Daniel's realization?
Daniel realized AI is an incredibly powerful instrument for analysis and strategy development, but the day-to-day execution, the real-time management, still requires human oversight and human systems or dedicated property management software. So he adapted. He started manually feeding the AI updated data quarterly, things like tenant turnover rates, actual maintenance expenses, updated rent receipts. He used its analytical strengths to get a comprehensive portfolio performance review, which then backed up his human managerial judgments and decisions. Tool, not replacement.
Okay, this brings us neatly to the strategic roadmap that Stanley developed. It's called the 5 Ps of the Keystone Property Investor's KPIs journey. And he significantly upgraded this framework in November 2022, specifically to integrate AI capabilities throughout the process.
That's right. This framework is designed to be very systematic. It's aimed at helping investors strategically maybe scale back their demanding corporate lives, build passive income, and ultimately achieve financial freedom through property. And ChatGPT is now leveraged at basically every single step to reduce guesswork and inject data-driven accuracy.
Okay, let's break down these 5 Ps. What's the first one?
The first P is positioning. This is all about the foundation. It's where you clearly define your current financial situation, you map out your specific goals, and you honestly identify your personal obstacles or limitations, getting crystal clear on where you stand right now.
Which could actually be the hardest part for many investors,
Yeah.
right? That honest self-assessment.
It really can be confronting. But AI is an incredible tool for forcing objective self-assessment here. Instead of just having vague financial goals, you can use precise prompts, something like, okay, ChatGPT, based on the following personal financial data, and you'd insert your current income, detailed monthly expenses, existing property values, current savings, loan balances, etc. What is a rough but realistic estimate of my potential maximum investment capacity and likely borrowing ceiling in the current market, assuming an average interest rate of, say, 6%?
So it gives you immediate, non-judgmental financial clarity. A starting point.
Exactly. Cuts through the vagueness. The second P is purpose. This is about determining your North Star, your core guiding objective for investing. Why are you actually doing this? What does success look like for you? Because when the market inevitably gets volatile or tough, you need a really clear purpose to keep you focused and disciplined.
And how does AI help define that purpose? It seems quite personal.
It helps refine the ambiguity. It can turn fuzzy goals into concrete scenarios. For example, you could prompt, given my current financial position referencing the positioning data and my high-level investment goals, which are e.g., replace my current salary within 10 years, outline 3 distinctly different potential pathways or strategies to achieve success over the next 5 years. For the purpose of this analysis, define success specifically as generating a sustainable, diversified passive income stream of at least $80,000 per year after tax.
So it helps you visualize tangible outcomes and the different routes to get there instead of just vaguely saying, I want to be rich someday.
Precisely. It makes the goal concrete and actionable. Next up is the third P, which is preparing. This is the detailed planning stage, figuring out how to close the gap between where you are now, positioning, and where you want to be. Purpose.
This needs to be rigorous, I imagine.
Absolutely. And here, Stanley's firm uses ChatGPT extensively to facilitate what they call branched questions and perform comprehensive risk analysis. You might start with a broad question, like, explain how the traditional property clock model typically influences investment timing decisions in high-growth regional hubs in Australia.
Okay, understand the theory.
Then you branch off with specifics. Okay, now, what are the specific financial and structural risks typically associated with investing in residential properties built before 1990 in suburb X? And based on those risks, suggest 3 practical mitigation strategies I should incorporate into my due diligence checklist for such properties. The AI helps you craft a really tailored strategy, considering your personal risk tolerance, and ensures you analyze the growth potential of any target suburb from multiple angles, a 360-degree view.
Thorough preparation.
Okay.
Then comes the 4th P, purchasing.
Yeah.
This is the execution stage, where the careful plan transforms into actual reality. Boots on the ground.
Right. And ChatGPT becomes a key facilitator for executing that plan with accuracy and efficiency. For instance, in locating the ideal property type, you can feed it your detailed criteria, budget, yield target, property type, location parameters, and ask it to provide general considerations and maybe even flag specific upcoming infrastructure projects that might impact values in a target region or price range.
Helps narrow the search.
Exactly. For securing funding, you can ask it to explore the pros and cons of different financing methods, say interest-only versus principal and interest loans under the current economic forecasts and lending conditions. And critically, for the negotiation phase, it can provide step-by-step guides, suggest specific counteroffer tactics based on market data, and even help draft negotiation scripts using recent comparable sales data you provide. It ensures every step of the transaction is strategically informed.
Okay, and the final P, after you've bought the property.
And the fifth and final P is prospering. This is about maximizing the wealth generated by your investments and ultimately achieving that financial freedom goal. It involves ongoing monitoring and optimization of your portfolio.
Making sure your assets are working hard for you?
Precisely. And this is where automation, powered by AI, can really help solidify your gains over the long term. ChatGPT helps ensure continued success by assisting with automating the monitoring of property performance and providing timely recommendations for adjustments.
What would a prompt for that look like?
A key prompt here might be something like, set up a process to help me automate the quarterly monitoring of my property portfolio. You'd insert the key details like addresses, rent, current loan balances. Use the provided API links to pull the latest rental yield data for comparable properties in each postcode. Compare my property's performance against these benchmarks and against the previous quarter's results. Provide specific next steps or actions to consider only if any property's gross rental yield falls below 4.5% or if vacancy exceeds 4 weeks.
So it becomes a proactive monitoring assistant.
It provides that sustained, data-driven wealth maximization oversight that's essential for achieving long-term financial freedom, especially as your portfolio grows. #tag outro.
Right, let's try and wrap this up. So what does this all really mean for you, the listener? We've covered quite a bit today, the serious limitations of traditional, purely manual property investing.
The time sink, the emotional traps, the hype, the scalability issues.
Exactly. Then we dug into the technical nuts and bolts of AI and ChatGPT critically, how that 2021 knowledge cutoff works, and how advanced features like APIs and data analysis help you overcome it.
Yeah, understanding those tools is key.
We looked at specific integration case studies from novice investors using it for risk assessment to experienced players doing huge portfolio reviews, even businesses boosting productivity.
Showing its versatility across the board.
And finally, that strategic 5P framework. Positioning, purpose, preparing, purchasing, prospering, tying it all together into an actionable journey, enhanced by AI at every step.
It's a comprehensive roadmap. The essential wisdom that Stanley really tries to impart throughout his work, though, is that failure, or at least setbacks, are pretty much inevitable in investing. But the real key to long-term success is learning from those setbacks.
Embracing the learning process.
Yeah. He uses that potent quote from Alvin Toffler. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. AI, used correctly, is arguably the most powerful tool we've ever had to make that continuous cycle of learning, unlearning outdated methods, and re-strategizing incredibly efficient and scalable.
It accelerates the learning curve dramatically. Now, this knowledge we've discussed, it's clearly powerful. It can enable rapid profit, huge efficiency gains. But maybe there's a final thought, a provocative question for the listener to consider, particularly around the ethics or broader impact. Stanley himself, you mentioned, is quite involved in discussions around Australia's affordable housing and rental crisis.
That's right. And it raises an important, maybe slightly uncomfortable final question for you, the investor, to chew on as you start using these powerful tools. Beyond just maximizing your own returns, can AI help you analyze the potential socioeconomic impact of your next investment decision?
How might that look?
Well, for instance, you could potentially feed the AI-relevant local council data, census information on income levels, and housing affordability metrics for a specific area, say Western Sydney. Then you could prompt it. Analyze the current availability and affordability of rental housing in these Western Sydney postcodes versus the prevailing local wage rates and employment statistics. Based on this data, how could an investment strategy specifically target or contribute towards alleviating some of this documented housing stress, perhaps through investing in specific types of housing or supporting certain development initiatives while still maintaining a strong ethical financial return?
So using AI not just for personal profit maximization, but potentially for more socially or environmentally responsible investing strategies.
Exactly. It expands the potential application of this immense analytical power beyond just the bottom line. It's something to think about. How can you use this technology responsibly?
That's a powerful thought to end on. Richard Branson once said, "If your dreams don't scare you, they are too small." Maybe it's time to embrace this AI-enhanced future of property investing. Leverage these tools not just to follow the market, but to gain unprecedented insight, perhaps chart new territory, and establish a new, smarter standard in how we approach wealth creation through property. The future isn't just coming, you're living it right now, and you have the tools to shape it.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really moving past just, the idea of artificial intelligence in real estate.
Yeah, we're getting practical.
We're looking at the actual outcomes. If you've been wondering if this tech is, really making a difference, making money, the source material seems pretty clear. It's a big yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're kind of done with the what-ifs.
Yeah.
This deep dive, it's about the actual blueprint. How do you achieve, financial freedom using these tools?
Right.
Our sources lay it out. We'll dig into those real-world stories from Chapter 9.
Success stories.
Then explore the next-gen tools from Chapter 10, the stuff that's coming.
The future tech.
And probably most important for you listening, we're giving you those concrete steps from Chapter 11 and the conclusion, how to actually start right now.
It really feels like the essential guide for anyone investing today. We want to give you that strategic depth, but also the how-to.
Exactly. And maybe the biggest takeaway right up front, AI isn't here to replace you.
Good point.
It's a partner, an indispensable one, actually. If you use it right, it just cuts through all that noise, all that data.
Turns it into action.
Turns it into profitable action. And that partnership, that's what helps you build wealth and, maybe escape that 9-to-5 grind.
Okay, so let's unpack those results. Chapter 9, you said it's like a gold mine. It shows people getting unstuck.
Totally. Moving away from that analysis paralysis.
Yeah, that feeling. Straight into doing something smart.
Right. And the first example, Chris, a high school teacher in Melbourne, he's like the classic case.
How so?
Just found investing. Well, mysterious, complicated, expensive, just too much to even begin.
It's a common story, isn't it? That barrier to entry.
It really is. He wanted to invest, but all the variables, interest rates, demographics, different property types, it just locked him up mentally.
So what was the breakthrough? How did AI help there?
His breakthrough was about how he asked the question. He basically structured his ignorance, if that makes sense.
Okay, tell me more. What was the prompt?
It wasn't just, find me a good property. It was more like a consultation setup. He said something like, here is a property I'm looking to buy. Then he put in the details, provide an investment analysis. But ask me questions first to get a complete picture before you reply.
Oh, that is smart. He's making the AI act like a consultant.
Exactly. He's using its ability to understand context, risk, prompting it to ask him the right questions, the ones he should have been asking himself.
So what did the AI dig up that maybe Chris would have missed?
Well, beyond the usual stuff like capital growth forecasts, it gave really detailed projections on income, specifically rental income potential.
Okay.
And it looked at demographic patterns, crucially pointing out that short-term rentals, like Airbnb style, were really viable for this specific property, a beach duplex.
Ah, location-specific insight, something he might have overlooked doing manual research.
So especially being a busy teacher, right? That insight let him completely pivot his strategy.
And the result was pretty staggering.
Yeah, 28% wealth growth in just 6 months.
Wow. Okay, but let's break that down. That wasn't just the property value going up, was it?
No, not primarily. It was about maximizing the income potential that the AI flagged.
So the short-term rental angle?
Precisely.
Yeah.
The AI showed the opportunity there was way bigger than traditional long-term renting for that spot. Now, Chris still had to do the work.
Of course. Buy it, manage it.
Got the right management, deal with council rules. That's the human judgment part.
Right.
But the AI gave him the strategic target, pinpointed the opportunity, and that accelerated his returns like crazy.
Okay, so Chris's story is about finding hidden income. What about Amy, the interior designer in Brisbane? Her challenge was different.
Yeah, Amy's story is more about maximizing the visible value, connecting that design eye
Aesthetics.
to the financial reality. She had great taste, but needed to make sure her renovations actually made money, that they were profitable, not just pretty.
A common pitfall in flipping, right? Over-improving or focusing on the wrong things.
Exactly. Spending money on beautiful features that buyers just won't pay extra for. She needed to translate her gut feeling about design into actual ROI.
Return on investment. So she used AI like a financial design consultant.
Sort of, yeah. She got specific. Her prompt was something like, Here is the property information I have. Details here. Provide renovation advice for maximum ROI.
Maximum ROI, key phrase.
Totally. And that let the AI blend structural advice, like, is it worth knocking down this wall for open plan living, which Brisbane buyers love? The aesthetic stuff, recommending paint colors, materials, fixtures that local sales data showed were popular and added value.
So it's like an instant data-backed feasibility check on her design ideas.
Pretty much. It ensures every dollar spent on the reno is working towards a higher sale price, not just personal preference.
And the outcome for her.
A really successful, repeatable process.
Yeah.
She built a track record of turning tired properties around profitably. The AI was like her quantitative filter, validating her design instincts, made things efficient.
Okay, 2 great examples. Now, Lucia in Sydney, her problem sounds painfully familiar: data overload.
Oh, yeah. Drowning in reports, historical data, conflicting opinions. Which suburbs are actually good growth areas? It's chaos for new investors.
So how did she use AI to cut through that noise?
Her approach was smart. She used the AI's historical knowledge, its training data up to 2021, to just establish the basics, the fundamentals.
Okay, what does she ask?
Something like, based on data from the past up to 2021, which city suburbs showed steady growth, and what are the general reasons property values tend to rise anyway?
Ah, okay. Using AI to define the basic rules of the game. But wait a second. Using data that stops in 2021, isn't that like really risky now? Post-pandemic inflation?
That's a really critical point. And it highlights the partnership aspect again.
How so?
The AI's older data is great for identifying fundamental long-term drivers, things that don't change much.
Like?
Proximity to the CBD, good transport links, amenities, schools, planned infrastructure, those core value drivers.
Yeah.
So Lucia got this list from the AI of historically solid areas. Then, and this is key, she cross-referenced that with current information she found herself, specifically about upcoming public transport projects in one of those areas.
Got it. So AI points the way based on history.
Yeah.
And her own current research confirms the future growth catalyst, synthesizing past and present.
Exactly right. And the proof was pretty quick. Property prices in the areas she chose started rising within 7 months.
Oh.
It just shows how good AI is at filtering that chaos down to a manageable list of potential targets. Saves incredible amounts of research time.
Okay, moving from finding the right place to maybe avoiding the wrong one, let's talk about Mary in Melbourne. Case study 4, dodging a bullet.
Right. This one's interesting because she was drawn in by appearances.
How do you mean?
The suburb looked great. Appealing houses, seemed affluent, just kind of falling for the curve appeal, the emotional trap.
Happens all the time.
It does. But she had the presence of mind to ask the machine the tough question, the uncomfortable one. Analyze the potential drawbacks of purchasing property in this specific suburb.
Ooh, okay. Looking for the downside. And what came back? You said it was shocking.
It revealed this huge, hidden structural weakness, something you'd never see just driving around.
What was it?
The AI found that the local government expenditure, the council spending on public services, was only $24 per capita.
$24 per person? That sounds tiny.
It is, especially when compared to a neighboring suburb just a few kilometers away, spending $700–800 per capita.
Whoa, that's an insane difference. How did the AI even find that number? Is that common knowledge?
Not at all. It synthesized it. That figure isn't usually in a standard property report.
Right.
The AI's training let it connect dots across municipal budgets, public works announcements, healthcare data, safety spending, all pulled together into that single per resident figure.
Something a human researcher would take weeks to piece together, maybe.
If they even thought to look. The AI did it instantly.
So what did that low number actually mean for an investor like Mary? What were the implications?
It signaled a serious lack of investment in the basics. Healthcare, public safety, schools, parks, roads.
Okay.
The long-term risks for an investor are huge. Higher insurance potentially because infrastructure might be poor. Slower appreciation because who wants to move to an area with rundown services? Maybe even families leaving.
So the AI acted like a deep dive risk assessment tool, saved her from a potentially awful investment that just looked good on the surface.
Absolutely. It revealed those hidden socioeconomic factors. It's way beyond just valuing a house.
Incredible. Okay, let's pivot again. Case study 6, Emily. This one sounds different. Negotiation.
Yeah, this is fascinating. It uses AI for skills training based on simulation ideas from defense training.
Okay, intrigue level high. What was the approach?
Simple premise, really. High-stakes negotiation. It's a kind of conflict. You should train for it.
Makes sense.
So Emily used ChatGPT to create a practice environment.
Yeah.
The AI played the role of the seller's agent.
And Emily was the buyer. So AI-powered role-playing, like a negotiation coach.
Exactly. And the prompts set it up clearly. Simulate a negotiation between a buyer and a seller's agent. I am the buyer. You are the selling agent. Let the negotiation begin. Provide tips after each interaction to help me improve. You start, I will answer.
That's brilliant. The AI plays the part, challenges her, then gives immediate feedback, like a flight simulator for negotiation.
That's a great analogy. And the result was pretty dramatic. She ended up securing the property for her client at 16.4% lower than the asking price.
15.4%. Okay, but hang on. Could that just be a reflection of the market at the time? Or maybe the agent just overpriced it initially? What was the AI's real contribution?
That's a fair question. The AI didn't magically make the price drop. Its role was to sharpen Emily's skills.
Ah, okay. How?
It helped her control her emotions, structure her arguments logically, use data effectively in her counteroffers. It taught her when to pause, how to respond to common agent tactics, things like that.
So the discount wasn't AI magic. It was peak human performance, trained by AI.
Precisely. It was the result of intense practice in a safe, consequence-free environment. It just shows how simulation can seriously boost success in high-pressure situations.
These examples, they paint a really clear picture, don't they? AI turning data into action, managing risk, even accelerating skill development. It's like the ultimate co-pilot for an investor.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It really sets the stage for what's coming next.
Right. So if Chapter 9 showed us what's possible now, Chapter 10 is like lifting the curtain on the near future.
Exactly. Those success stories, they're just the beginning, really, the appetizer.
Okay.
The vision laid out is, well, almost effortless investing. Finding that perfect property with just a few clicks, forecasting prices with uncanny precision, as the source puts it, managing your whole portfolio seamlessly.
Sounds like moving beyond just asking questions, more towards autonomous systems.
That's the direction. Let's look at some of those next-gen AI tools mentioned, the ones already evolving things past the ChatGPT we know now.
Okay, first up,
Bard from Google AI. Key thing here. It's trained heavily on code, not just text.
code. Okay, why does that matter for an investor who, like, probably doesn't code themselves?
It means you don't have to be the coder. You can prompt Bard to structure the code for you. The real edge isn't asking it for property tips. It's getting it to help you build, say, a machine learning model to predict future property prices in your specific target area.
Whoa, okay, that's a big leap.
Bard can outline the Python code needed, tell you what data inputs you'd need, suggest the right algorithms. You become the director, not the spreadsheet monkey.
Interesting. Okay, next, Bing AI. Microsoft involved there.
Yeah, often linked with the Prometheus model. The big advantage for Bing AI is its direct link to the Bing search engine.
Real-time data.
Exactly. It tackles that knowledge cutoff problem you get with models trained only up to a certain date.
So more up-to-date answers.
More thorough and, crucially, current, which is vital in fast-moving markets.
Makes sense. So what's the advanced application here? How do you leverage that real-time capability?
Think about developing a data pipeline, a system that automatically pulls in and analyzes property data from lots of live sources.
Like MLS listings, news feeds.
Government announcements, planning applications. Yeah. It's moving beyond a static snapshot to building an automated market monitor that's running 24/7, constantly updating your view on risks and opportunities.
That sounds powerful. Okay, then there's Claude from Anthropic. The focus there is
Safety, thoroughness, reliability, better coding abilities too. But for property investors, a really interesting application is in qualitative analysis, finding the nuance
qualitative.
by developing a natural language processing model, an NLP model.
Okay, quick detour. NLP, what's that mean in plain English for property listings?
That means the AI can read and understand human language, not just count keywords in a listing, but grasp the sentiment, the context.
Yeah.
So instead of just looking at price and square footage, an NLP model could scan thousands of property descriptions and flag subtle cues. Phrases like seller keen to move fast, or needs TLC but has character, or perfect for owner-occupiers.
Ah, things that hint at seller motivation or hidden issues.
Exactly, stuff that pure numbers completely miss. It adds that layer of emotional and situational context.
Fascinating. Digging into the text. Okay, one more. AutoGPT from Bardeen. Sounds automatic.
Yeah, the key word there is orchestration. It's designed to integrate multiple AI tools to handle complex, multi-step tasks.
Orchestration implies it can run a sequence of actions without you prompting each step.
That's the idea. Automating the whole investment analysis workflow, the advanced potential, developing a model to identify undervalued properties.
How would that work?
It could run the initial market analysis, that's step 1, then cross-reference tax records, maybe estimate renovation costs, step 2, synthesize neighborhood scores, local amenities, step 3,
And then?
and then output the specific property, the potential value-add strategy, all potentially autonomously.
Wow. So the future investor's job shifts from doing the research to directing this AI orchestra.
Well put. And this massive tech leap, it's also forcing a rethink about how we invest, not just for profit, but for purpose.
Ah, the socially and environmentally responsible angle.
Right. AI is becoming key for measuring that non-financial impact.
No.
The source brings in Einstein here about widening our circle of compassion.
It's a lovely sentiment. But practically, how does AI measure compassion on a spreadsheet? How does that work?
Well, take environmental responsibility. AI can help you screen properties against green building standards.
Yeah.
You could prompt it. What are the key elements of a green building standard I should look for in a commercial property? It forces the AI to check certifications, material efficiency, energy ratings, aligning your investment with sustainability.
Okay, makes sense for green standards. What about the social side? You mentioned affordable housing in Western Sydney.
Yeah. AI can analyze the potential socioeconomic impact of investing there. The example prompt was, what are the potential socioeconomic impacts of investing in affordable housing in Western Sydney?
And what would the AI look at?
Things like potential job creation nearby, access to essential services for residents, impact on neighborhood stability. It shifts the focus from just what's the rent to what's the community impact alongside the profit model.
So really trying to connect profit and purpose.
Definitely. But as we gaze into this amazing future, there's a warning note, too.
Oh.
The source quotes J.R.R. Tolkien. You know, it's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door.
If you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. Yeah.
It's a good reminder, isn't it? Embracing AI is this big adventure. Unknown twists, technically, ethically.
We need to stay grounded, keep our human intent clear, even as the tech gets incredibly powerful.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've seen the results, we've glimpsed the future. How does someone listening right now actually jump in? Chapter 11 is the how-to, right?
Exactly. This is the action plan. And the first step is really a mindset shift. You've got to see AI not as some scary future tech, but as a partner you can use today.
An essential partner. Okay, step 1. It sounds like it starts simple.
Baby steps. Adopt ChatGPT as a trusted sidekick. Don't try to build machine learning models on day one.
Right. So what kind of simple tasks?
Start with the low-stakes stuff, the admin that eats up your time. Use it to compile checklists, like a comprehensive checklist for buying an investment property.
Okay, that's useful.
Or get it to summarize long articles, property news, maybe legislative changes in your area. The example prompt is super basic. Create a checklist for buying a new investment property. Instant value, basically zero risk, builds confidence.
Makes sense. Start small, build familiarity. But, okay, what about the hurdles? Every new thing has obstacles. First one mentioned is data deluge management.
Yeah, the source calls it the fire hose effect. AI can give you so much data, the output itself can be overwhelming.
Drowning in insights.
Kind of. The solution isn't less data, though. It's using the AI to prioritize the data for you.
Make the AI filter its own output. How do you prompt for that?
You have to be specific about your goal. Something like, summarize the most important property data points I should focus on for, and then insert your specific aim.
Like, for finding a positively geared rental in a commuter suburb.
Exactly. That forces it to cut the noise and just give you the metrics relevant to your investment thesis. Stops you wading through endless spreadsheets.
Okay, smart. Next hurdle. Prompt mastery. The labyrinth, they call it. Getting the input right to get good output.
This is crucial. Your results are only as good as your prompts. And yeah, figuring out the perfect prompt can feel like getting lost in a maze.
So how do you navigate that?
Here's the cool part. You ask the AI to explain the maze. Use the AI to teach you how to prompt it better.
Meta. What's the prompt for that?
Something like, explain how to use ChatGPT prompts effectively to analyze property data. Focus on how to structure inputs and define the output I want. You're basically learning prompt engineering, which is becoming a fundamental skill.
Right. Okay, third obstacle, privacy. Big concern for many. Sharing financial stuff with an AI.
Understandable. The source is clear, though. Privacy controls do exist. You need to be proactive, understand the platform's policies.
So ask about the rules.
Yeah. A good prompt is, outline the best practices for maintaining privacy when using ChatGPT for financial data analysis. And what are the current data retention policies? Know the rules. Mitigate the risk.
Good advice. And the final hurdle, the big one, AI versus human judgment. Is the machine taking over?
The answer, according to the source, is a firm no.
Why not?
AI lacks instinct.
Right.
It can't physically inspect that leaky roof or get a feel for a neighborhood vibe at night.
True.
And it can't handle the real-time complex judgment calls needed in, say, a difficult legal closing. It's a resource. It enhances us. It doesn't replace us.
So how do you keep that balance in mind?
You can even prompt the AI about its own limits. Ask it, what are some tasks in property investing that really depend on local human experience and gut feeling, things AI cannot replace?
Making the AI admit its boundaries.
Exactly. It reinforces where your expertise, your judgment remains absolutely essential.
This whole section really drives home that idea, doesn't it? Success isn't about AI or human, it's about managing the interaction between them.
Perfectly put.
Yeah.
Which leads us nicely into the wrap-up.
Right. And that final encouragement, it links back to Steve Jobs.
It does.
Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. This tech is here. The source urges you listening. Be a leader. Use these tools. Explore this new territory. Set a new standard.
Okay, let's try and pull all these threads together. The starting point really is that Thomas Edison quote, "There's a way to do it, better find it."
And AI in property investing.
It is that better way. Unequivocally, it gives everyday investors access to predictive analytics, deep risk evaluation, data synthesis, stuff that used to be only for the big institutions.
But getting that power, it's more than just using the tool, right? It requires that mindset shift, the new literacy idea.
Absolutely. It connects directly to what Alvin Toffler said. The illiterate of the 21st century won't be those who can't read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Unlearn? What are we unlearning here?
Those old, manual, incredibly time-consuming ways of researching property. Hours spent collecting data that AI does in seconds. We have to relearn how to ask good questions, how to validate the AI's output, how to weave its insights into our own strategy.
That cognitive flexibility, that's the key.
It's what will separate the leaders from the followers in this market, definitely.
And the ultimate why. Why bother learning this new way? It comes back to the listener's core goals, right? The 5 Ps from the Keystone Investor Journey.
Yes. All this knowledge, this efficiency, it's the engine that helps you move past just being overworked and maybe asset poor.
It accelerates the journey.
Towards passive income, towards financial freedom, and maybe most importantly, towards having the time back. Time for family, for yourself. AI gives you back your most precious commodity.
But that journey, it won't be without bumps, which brings in Jim Rohn's wisdom.
Right. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better.
Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenges. Wish for more wisdom.
AI doesn't magically remove the challenges of the property market. It gives you the tools to build the skills and wisdom to tackle those challenges much, much smarter than before.
You're investing in your capability, not just hoping for an easy ride.
Exactly. You get better.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into AI-assisted investing, we want to leave you with one last thought. A challenge, really, inspired by Richard Branson.
Yeah.
If your dreams don't scare you, they are too small.
I like that. So the message is,
use this power. Use these AI tools, these prompts, these models we've talked about. Use them to dream bigger investment dreams.
don't just aim for okay. Aim for something ambitious.
Aim for a portfolio that truly changes your life. Maybe sets a new standard not just for profit, but for socially responsible wealth, too.
The machine might not have a heartbeat.
But it could be the very thing that breathes new life into your biggest financial goals. So go on. Try that first simple prompt today. The future of investing isn't just coming. It's something you actively shape, starting now.